Most people never do this. In fact, only 3% actually do. And it's one of the fastest ways to stand out in your business. Welcome back, ladies. A few weeks ago, we shared days 1 and 2 of our BD tips. And the feedback from you was actually out of this world. It was phenomenal. You loved the energy, you loved the action steps, and you told me how quickly you're putting some of the things into practice. Hooray! I love that. Today we're talking about day 3 and 4 of the BD sprint. But if you're a go-getter like me and you're like, just give me the goods, go get the goods. BD Sprint on demand on the website. We'll pop it in the show notes. Just head to Emma McQueen and you'll see it there. These are 2 of my favourite strategies because they stretch you. They'll make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, but they will absolutely set you apart. Just to jog memory about day 1 and day 2 tips though, if you recall on day 1, we talked about blocking out time in your diary to actually build relationships, do business development. We talked about building out a plan so that when you sit down to do your daily business development, you're not just faffing around. And we also talked about who to reach out to. And for day 1, it was our current clients to see if there was any value that you could possibly add. The tip for day 2 was really zooming out or in to have a look at your client journey and how we take them from cold to sold. Again, just made that up in the last podcast. Anyway, and I showed you how to map that. So if you want to take a look at the start of day 1 and day 2, the episode is Business Development Sprint. Here's how I structure the first 2 days. So go back to that one and then we'll dive in. So far, we have a plan. We have time booked in the diary. We've connected with our current clients and prospects, and we've mapped out the client nurture sequence. That's already a lot. So if you've done that, bloody well done. Well done, you. Day 3. Only 3% of the population actually use video in their content. Isn't that wild in today's day and age? Which actually means you immediately stand out if that's what you're doing. It's especially relevant for LinkedIn. A bit more polished on LinkedIn. So my question to you is, are you using video yet? And if you're not, whoa, let's do this. Now, I love a good example. I love a practical example. So I've got 2 from my own business for you. The first one is on LinkedIn, I shared a post called The 3rd Year of My Business Was Crazy. Funnily enough, I was wearing a blue top and yellow glasses. Must be my favorites. That post had just over 200,000 impressions or something like that. It was redonkulous. Why? I ask myself this question often. I think people love knowing the messy middle. They love seeing the chaos. They love seeing the behind the scenes. And basically, we're all just nosy. So we don't always want polished, thankfully. Thankfully, we don't want polished because I'm not a polished kind of girl. If you are watching me on YouTube, you'll see I've got beautiful hair today. It'll last about half an hour and then it'll go up in a mum bun. On Instagram, I shared a reel titled, I Feel Less Safe Than Ever. That one had over 6,000 impressions at the time. It was a vulnerable share. Actually, both were vulnerable shares. But at the time, I had started walking my 20,000 steps a day in the dark. And I realized how unsafe I felt. And apparently, so did you all. So that was amazing. It just hit home. Now, I want to say I've given you the best of the best, right? Not all videos perform like that. These are the highlight reels. Plenty don't have the same traction, and that's totally normal. The point isn't about chasing numbers. The point is that by showing up on video, you build trust, you build connections, and you build visibility. That's it. I work with Beck from Creative Seed Co. She is my social media strategist and also my social media manager. And what Beck says goes, basically. And Beck and I agreed when we started working together 5 years ago that I would show up on video every single weekday. That was my commitment to Beck because I figured I'm going to spend money on social media. She knows the drill. Why wouldn't I? And in our working together for 5 years, we're not far off 9,000 followers, and we were probably at 1,000 when we started working together, right? Now, at the beginning, how good do you think I was? Yeah, I'm sure Beck slapped her forehead and wondered if I'd ever get better. I'm not a perfectionist in any way. So I showed up how I normally am after my morning walk, on my morning walk, created the videos, and 5 years later, rocking up every day. It's easy for me. It's a habit. I just hit record and off I go. Now, I could not do that on the fly. So please don't hear me when I say I'm just recording videos for the sake of it. We have a strategy in place. We have themes set up, and we stick to, we have a stack of offers and events. There is always something happening, and there is always something for me to talk about. This is not about being disorganized. This is about being so organized that it becomes a habit. Yeah. So if you're just getting started or you're thinking, what do I say? Jump in and practice a bit. Side note, did you know that the tongue has memory? So basically what happens when we say things out loud is we get better and better and we trip over our tongue, and it gives us that, you shouldn't say that. You've got to change out the word. And so I practice out loud before I jump on video, and whether that's what me walking or ad-libbing or whatever. But the tongue has such sensational memory that you can say a few things out loud and it remembers, and it helps you to make that sound better. This was a great trick when I worked in HR. When I worked in HR, I would see feedback conversations go wrong. And I would say to the manager at the time, did you practice this? And they're like, it sounded so much better in my head. I'm like, yeah, I bet it did. I'm like, next time, please just look in the mirror so you can see what your face looks like. Because right now it's looking like a squashed frog. Look in the mirror. Make sure you're watching what you're saying, and also that you are making sure that you don't trip over the words. It'll make it so much easier. So the tongue has memory. If you bugger it up, it's actually better. And here's why. People are craving real. They're craving non-polished. They're craving non-perfect. They're craving non-AI. So if you bugger it up, release it anyway. It only lasts 24 hours on stories. That was my practicing ground in Instagram. So you could just do that. And that is where I would start. Just show up and do the video, do the thing. So here's your action. This is day 3. Go look at some video examples and ask yourself, why do they appeal to you? Why do they work? Note, please don't copy. Yes, you can take inspiration, but do it in your own style. Little story to close this piece out. In Thriving Women, we use an app called Marco Polo. It's my favorite app. I may also be an ambassador now. But anyway, long story. It's a video messaging app. So it's like WhatsApp, but for video. And you can do voice notes and all the different things. And we use it because I have quite an expressive face. So if I'm giving someone some feedback or some guidance, they can see my face. And a lot of information is passed across in nonverbal cues. When I'm on Marco Polo, they can see me saying, hey, I noticed you haven't done your sales calls this week. And they can see me smiling. And I'm not mad. I'm just saying it's time to move your butt, right? So there's that. We also use it because I hate admin. And if I get to answer a question on the Marco Polo platform, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. And I also check it while I'm doing my 20,000 steps a day. Tick, tick, tick. And finally, we use it because it gives everyone a safe place to practice and get comfy in front of the camera. If you can't get comfy in front of the camera, this is going to be really, really hard. So if people can see you, they have more of a chance that they will get to know you, they'll like you, and they'll trust you. That's day 3 tip. Day 4, let's talk about phone calls. Yeah. But everyone listening to this is like, no. I'm like, I know. I'm going to be honest with you. This is the one that scares the pants off 80% of people. 80%. But it is also the one with the most impact. So to leave it out would be not right. So we're going to talk about it. I want to tell you a little story. In my faculty role, I had a student who was really struggling. She was struggling to make money. She didn't have a really big network. And so she felt like she was starting from scratch. Starting from scratch is not a problem, but you need to feel like you can pick up the phone. You need to feel like you can do some sales. And when we were talking about sales and picking up the phone, I thought she was going to vomit. We worked through what was happening for her. And at the end of the day, she was afraid of rejection. Who isn't? Like, put your hand up while you're talking to me. Yeah, everyone's afraid of that to start with, right? We don't like it when people say no. She was uber committed. And she was like, Emma, I will do anything. I think she regretted that after I told her the next piece, which I'm going to share with you. She was uber committed. I'll do anything. So I asked her to trust me and to trust the process and also play a little game with me. Now, I knew the game would work because I've played this game with clients and students now at least 100 times. So I knew the game would work. The game was this. She had to get to 100 no's. So she was going to phone 100 people and get 100 no's. We're going to get thanks but no thanks, thanks but no thanks. Now, a thanks but no thanks, by the way, is just thanks, not right now, right? That's just how I frame it in my own head. So she had to speak to 100 people to prove to me that she was not good at sales. Can you hear the reverse stuff going on in the background? Okay. So we developed a list of 150 people because we all know that if you have 100, you'll probably only get to 80% of those. So we drew up a list of 150 people that she could call. And we agreed each week I would check in with her to see how she was going. We had tears. We gave up a few times. We had some really good pep talks, including me telling her to stop being a baby. And she made those calls. Sometimes I know she made those calls cursing me and through gritted teeth. At about the 25th call, though, she said that something just clicked. She got better at the conversations. She relaxed more into it. And she actually started to enjoy it. Imagine, ladies, enjoying calls, especially when people called her back, because people did call her back. So she had a couple of wins along the way. She hit $10,000 months for 3 months in a row. That was the result. And she got to 65 calls. Now, after that, we knew she was well on her way. But something else happened. One of the no's turned into a $140,000 sale. And another one of the no's turned into a $150,000 sale. Imagine how much money that is. She was freaking stoked. She made more money in those 3 months than she thought possible. Most of us think is not possible. And now she teaches this for a living. How cool is that? I have a ton of these stories from women who are a little bit scared to start, but we made it fun. We made it a game or an experiment, and in the end, they were laughing. Some days it's just hard. Some days it's just easy. I have a few clients now who actually prefer a cold call. Now, I do not recommend this as a strategy. Cold calls suck, the big one. You do not want to do cold calls. You want to be building a relationship so that people know who you are when you call. But they have had such great success in their niche that their preference is to do a cold call over a warm call. Can you imagine? I want to do cold calls, Em. All right, let's do cold calls. That's fine. I had another client and all she did was cold calls. And in 6 weeks, she sold $55,000 worth of services just on cold calls. I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to let the cold call thing go, but just saying. So I know this can feel so scary, and there are some ways to make it a bit easier and a bit more fun, and I want to share 3 ways with you. The first way is start safe. Call someone you love first. Tell them what you're doing beforehand, and then just before you're going to get on the call, you ring them and you go, hey, I'm just about to do my calls, and they cheer you on, and you're like, great, I'm warmed up. Whoop, whoop. Number 2, get into state. And what I mean by that is make sure you've got a little ritual. So you might play some music. You might light a candle. One of my clients wears tight knickers. The other one wears high heels. Another one pops on some bold lipstick. And another one does power poses. You know, find your thing. And then number 3, make it easier for them. So if you're calling from a mobile, send a quick text first. I send a quick text to say, hey, it's Emma McQueen. I'm going to call you tomorrow. Just save my number in your phone. That way, your name and your photo, if you've got an iPhone, show up before you even pick up the call. Bing, bing, bing. So, today's challenge. Add in a few phone calls for me, please. Call a past client, a potential lead, or someone in your network you haven't spoken to in a while. You will get used to it, I promise. The water's warm, just like jump in. So there you have it. That's our little reminder for where we left off on day 1 and day 2, and now you've got day 3 and 4 under your belt. Videos and phone calls. Videos and phone calls. If I have anyone DM me say, I listened to your podcast and is it okay if I send a DM? No, pick up the phone. In fact, I was so famous in my faculty role for picking up the phone. Someone made me a t-shirt that just said, just pick up the effing phone. This is what Emma does. So, I know a bit about phone calls. This is going to stretch you. I'm not going to lie. This is going to stretch you and absolutely set you apart from everyone else. I can't wait to hear how you go. Are you brave enough today? Let me know. Let me know. So we've talked about day 1, 2, 3, and 4, but there are 10. Listening to it here and putting it into action are two really different things. If you want to get good at sales, it's like a muscle. You need to build that muscle. And we have a beautiful packaged up BD Sprint on demand on our website. And in that, you get 10 days of me in your inbox. You get resources and templates that you can go back to time and again and print out. You get planners and different bits and pieces. And you get a cheer squad. What's not to love about that? So if you want to get really good at this and you want to nail this, this will make your business grow. I promise. It will make your business grow. All you have to do is go to our website, buy it, download it. It's cheap and cheerful. You'll love it. Promise.